Hey, let me be real with you for a second. Forget everything you've been told about talking to women. Throw it all out the window. The cheesy lines, the endless "what do you do?" or "where are you from?" Because here's the truth. Asking questions all the time makes you predictable, boring, and basically invisible. Yeah, I said it. You think you're being polite, but honestly, it's like handing her a clipboard and saying, "Check off my personality boxes." Nobody wants that. I'm not saying you shouldn't listen or be curious, but there's a smarter, cooler way to get her attention and actually make her want to stick around. Imagine this. You walk up confident with a story or something you just noticed about the moment, something funny, bold, or interesting. Boom, you're in. You're not interviewing her, you're giving her a peek into your world, your energy, your life. And that's magnetic. Here's the thing, most men screw this up because they rely on questions as crutches. Do you come here often? What's your favorite movie? Snooze. Questions don't create attraction. They create a Q&A session. And let's be honest, women didn't sign up for that. What you need is presence, curiosity expressed through your own actions and words, and the ability to share life in a way that draws her in. Over the next few sections, I'm going to teach you how to ditch the question habit entirely and replace it with something far more effective. We're talking about making her laugh without trying too hard, telling stories that pull her into your world, noticing details that she hasn't even considered, and expressing your confidence without arrogance. You'll learn how to spark curiosity in her mind, because when she's curious about you, she's engaged. She's leaning in, not answering another boring question. By the end of this video, you'll see why the ask questions advice is overrated and why creating your own energy and showing your authentic self is the game changer. You won't just be another guy asking, "What do you do?" You'll be the guy she actually remembers, the one who made her smile, think, and wonder what happens next. 1. The power of storytelling. Over questions. All right, I'm going to level with you. If you're relying on questions to keep a conversation alive, you're doing it all wrong. I know that might sting a little, but hear me out. You've been taught to ask questions because it seems polite, safe, and like the right thing to do. But here's the kicker. Asking questions is boring. Most guys do it, and most women know it. When you walk up with, "Where are you from?" or "What do you do?" you might get an answer, but you won't get engagement. You won't spark interest. You're just playing a script, and humans, especially women, sense scripts a mile away. Now, here's the trick the top guys in social interactions know. Stories win where questions fail. A story is a mini experience. It's a snapshot of your life, your humor, your perspective. When you tell a story, you're inviting her into your world instead of trying to get into hers. And this matters because attraction is about curiosity, energy, and connection, not a Q&A session. So how do you start? It's simple. Look around. Find something in the environment, something in the moment, or something in your own day that's funny, interesting, or relatable, and spin it into a story. Maybe it's that awkward moment on your way here, a wild encounter you had at work, or something ridiculous you noticed in the crowd. The key is detail and delivery. Don't just say, "I had a weird day." Say, "You won't believe what just happened to me. This guy tried to convince me my coffee order was wrong while holding 3 identical drinks in his hands." See? You've painted a picture, made her laugh, and opened a door for her to respond naturally. Here's another thing. Stories create emotional engagement, which questions rarely do. When you ask, "Do you like movies?" you get a yes or no. That's it. But when you share a short, funny story about the last movie you watched and the ridiculous popcorn disaster you had, you trigger emotions, laughter, surprise, maybe even empathy. She's now experiencing a little slice of your life, and she's invested. That investment is where connection starts to form. And let's not forget confidence. Telling stories requires you to own your experiences and show your personality without hiding behind questions. You're not fishing for topics, you're creating them. You're leading the interaction instead of following it. And leadership in social dynamics, that's attractive. Finally, remember this: the best stories are relatable, funny, and brief. You don't need a 3-hour saga. You need a 30, 60-second snapshot that gives her a glimpse of you, your humor, and your energy. And don't overthink it. Authenticity beats perfection every time. So here's your takeaway for this section: ditch the endless questions. Instead, craft your conversation like a mini series of stories. Make her laugh, surprise her, give her a taste of your life. Once you do this consistently, you'll notice a shift. Women respond more, lean in, and actually enjoy the interaction. Storytelling isn't just a technique, it's a game changer in connecting with women, and it's something almost no guy actually does. Be that guy. 2. Using observations instead of standard questions. Listen, I need you to hear this loud and clear. Most guys walk up to a woman thinking the only way to start a conversation is by asking questions. Wrong. Dead wrong. Questions are safe, predictable, and honestly, exhausting. But there's a trick that instantly sets you apart. It's called observation. Not noticing something and saying, "cool shoes." I mean real, specific observations that spark connection without putting her on the spot. Here's the thing: people love talking about themselves, yes, but not like they're being interrogated. Observations let you comment, connect, and even tease lightly without the Q&A trap. Imagine you notice she's wearing a quirky backpack or sipping an unusual drink. Instead of asking, "What is that?" you could say, "That drink looks like it's secretly plotting to take over your taste buds. I love it." Instantly, you're playful, confident, and interesting. She doesn't feel pressured to answer a question. She's free to engage because your comment created energy. Observations also show that you actually notice things, not just nod along or make small talk. Women pick up on this more than you think. Saying something unique about her outfit, her laughter, or even the environment shows that you're present and aware, not just following a script. And presence? Presence is magnetic. Here's a pro tip: focus on details that tell a story themselves. Maybe she's reading a book. Instead of the usual, "What are you reading?" try, "I have a feeling that book is secretly smarter than both of us combined." Boom, playful, intriguing, and opens up conversation naturally. Observations like this spark curiosity without putting her in an interview chair. Another thing: observations naturally lead to shared experiences. When you comment on the music playing, the vibe of the room, or even something funny happening nearby, you create a joint moment. She's no longer being asked to share her preferences, she's part of an experience you're both enjoying. That shared moment builds a connection faster than 1,000 questions ever could. Finally, observations let your personality shine. Are you witty, sarcastic, playful, or bold? Let it show in your comments. Questions hide your character, observations reveal it, and revealing your personality, that's the fast track to attraction. So here's the takeaway: start noticing things around you and use them as conversation fuel. Make playful comments, show awareness, and create shared moments. Stop relying on standard questions. When you observe first, you take control of the conversation, show personality, and make her want to engage without feeling like she's being grilled. Observations aren't just clever, they're magnetic, and they instantly separate you from every other guy trying the same old tired questions. 3. Sharing experiences to build connection. Let's be honest for a second. Conversation isn't about interrogations, and it isn't about impressing anyone with flashy lines. Real connection comes from shared human experiences, moments that make people nod, laugh, or feel understood. And here's the thing: women respond to this more than questions ever will. When you share a piece of your life or feelings in a way they can relate to, you're no longer a stranger. You're someone who gets it, someone who resonates. Think about how often you connect with someone because they've been through something similar, or they understand what it feels like to deal with certain situations. That's what you're aiming for. It's not about showing off, It's about making them feel that shared understanding, that, hey, I get you moment. That sense of connection is magnetic because it goes deeper than surface level chatter. Sharing experiences also builds emotional engagement. Questions only scratch the surface, they invite short answers. But when you share something relatable, it triggers feelings humor, curiosity, empathy, even nostalgia. Those emotions create an invisible thread between you and the person you're talking to. You're no longer two strangers, you're two people in a moment together, recognizing something familiar in each other. Here's the subtle power. Relatable sharing demonstrates confidence and authenticity. You're showing parts of yourself without asking for validation or approval. You're saying in a quiet but powerful way, this is who I am, and it's real. Authenticity draws people in because it's rare. Most conversations are just small talk, predictable and forgettable. Sharing relatable experiences makes you memorable. Another key point is that it encourages natural reciprocity. When you open up in a way that's easy to relate to, it signals that it's safe for the other person to do the same. You don't need to pressure them with questions or guide the conversation. Your sharing alone invites dialogue. It feels effortless, natural, and engaging. Finally, relatable experiences create a sense of presence and focus. When you talk about something real, something people can genuinely connect with, it anchors both of you in the moment. There's no awkward pause, no nervous scanning for what to say next. Instead, there's flow, energy, and a sense that this interaction actually matters. So here's the takeaway. Stop leaning on questions to drive connection. Instead, focus on sharing moments, feelings, and insights that people can relate to. Make them see that you understand, that you've experienced, and that you can create a shared emotional space. That's how real conversations happen, how attraction builds naturally, how engagement happens effortlessly. Sharing isn't just talking, it's creating a connection that questions alone could never achieve. 4. The role of humor and playfulness. Let's get something straight. Far too many men approach conversation like it's a job interview. They're stiff, cautious, and terrified of saying the wrong thing. Honestly, it's no wonder so many interactions feel flat or forgettable. Here's the reality. If you're not bringing humor and playfulness into your conversations, you're missing the point entirely. Conversation isn't a test, it's an experience, and experiences are enjoyable, memorable, and sometimes even fun. Humor and playfulness are the lifelines of connection. They break tension, create comfort, and make you stand out without trying too hard. Women respond to energy that's light, relaxed, and confident. When you crack a joke, tease lightly, or play with the situation in a clever way, you're showing personality. You're showing that you're comfortable, that you can handle yourself, and that being around you is enjoyable. These are traits questions alone will never communicate. Here's the gentle wake-up call. Stop thinking that being serious, formal, or overly cautious is attractive. Too many men get trapped in safe mode, afraid of showing their true personality. The truth? Safe mode is invisible mode. If you want to be memorable, you need to wake up to the fact that playfulness matters. Confidence isn't just about posture or tone. It's about the ability to make moments enjoyable, to create energy that others want to be part of. The key is subtlety and timing. Humor doesn't have to be loud or exaggerated. It can be a small, clever comment, a witty observation, or a playful reaction to what's happening around you. The goal isn't to perform, it's to make the interaction enjoyable and authentic. When humor feels natural, it becomes a bridge. It creates a shared emotional experience without forcing anyone into awkward Q&A patterns. Playfulness also demonstrates that you're mentally present and socially aware. You notice, you react, you engage without overthinking or over-explaining. This shows that you're confident in who you are, not just the words you choose. It's a quiet but powerful signal that draws people in. So here's the advice. Stop hiding behind questions and safety. Stop thinking that serious, cautious conversation is impressive. Instead, bring humor, playfulness and lightness into every interaction. Show that you can enjoy the moment, that you can make the exchange fun, and that you're someone people want to spend time around. Wake up to the fact that attraction isn't built on interrogation. It's built on energy, laughter, and shared enjoyment. 5. Understanding comfort and boundaries. Here's the part too many men overlook. Conversation isn't just about being interesting, funny, or confident. It's also about respecting comfort and boundaries. You could be the funniest, most charming guy in the room, but if the other person doesn't feel safe or at ease around you, none of that matters. Comfort is the foundation of every meaningful interaction, and ignoring it is a mistake that turns potential connection into awkwardness or discomfort. Understanding comfort starts with awareness. Pay attention to how the other person is responding, not just their words, but their tone, body language, and energy. Are they leaning in, laughing, and engaging, or are they stiff, distracted, or giving short responses? These cues are your guide. They tell you whether to keep the energy flowing, slow it down, or shift gears. Ignoring these signs is a common trap, and it often comes from overconfidence or a misunderstanding of what attraction truly is. Boundaries are equally crucial. Every person has limits on what they're comfortable sharing, how they respond to humor, or how personal a conversation should get. Pushing too hard, even unintentionally, creates resistance and shuts down the interaction. Learning to respect boundaries isn't just polite, it's attractive. It shows emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and maturity, all of which are far more compelling than clever lines or forced confidence. Here's the subtle power. When someone feels comfortable and respected, they're more likely to open up naturally. You don't need to ask invasive questions or force deep discussions. By maintaining awareness and staying attuned to their energy, you create an environment where engagement happens effortlessly. Comfort encourages curiosity, playfulness, and shared experiences, the exact elements that build attraction. Another key point: respecting comfort and boundaries also means staying authentic without overstepping. Don't try to act like someone else or push yourself to extremes to impress. Being genuine while being mindful of the other person's space shows that you're confident in who you are and considerate of who they are. That balance is magnetic. So, here's the takeaway. Stop treating conversation like a checklist of lines or techniques. Focus on creating comfort, noticing energy, and respecting boundaries. Let your humor, stories, and observations flow naturally, but always stay aware of how they're landing. When you combine confidence with sensitivity, you create interactions that feel effortless, enjoyable, and memorable. Respecting comfort and boundaries isn't just a rule, it's the foundation for meaningful connections that last beyond the first few minutes of conversation. All right, let me drop something that might make you squirm a little, but it's the truth. Most advice you've been following about talking to women is wrong. Yep, all those tips about asking endless questions, overthinking every word, or trying to impress are keeping you stuck in the same boring cycle. If you're relying on that, you're blending into the background, invisible and forgettable. Harsh? Maybe. True? Absolutely. Here's the point. Connection isn't built on scripts, lines, or rehearsed questions. It's built on authentic energy, shared experiences, humor, and respect for comfort. When you understand that, the whole dynamic changes. You go from being just another guy to someone memorable, someone engaging, someone who creates moments people want to be part of, and that's exactly what this video has been about, showing you how to take control of conversations in a way that's natural, confident, and relatable. Now, here's what I want you to do. Comment below with your experiences. Share the moments where you tried something different, where you relied on stories, observations, humor, or simply showed your personality. I'm going to read your comments and personally reach out to connect with you, give feedback, and help you sharpen your approach. This isn't just a video, it's a conversation we're having together. Remember, Real connection is a two-way street. I'm not just teaching from a stage, I'm sitting right here with you. And I want to see how you're applying these ideas in your life. So be honest, be bold, and don't be afraid to experiment, because the men who succeed aren't the ones asking the most questions. They're the ones creating moments, showing authenticity, and respecting the space of the people they're talking to. Let's make this personal. Comment, share, and let's grow together. The conversation doesn't end here. It starts now.